So we have the first problem. A ball is launched from the ground at a certain angle. So we have a ground and ground. Okay? So we have a ball, and that ball is projected into air. So of course, that ball will follow a parabolic path known as trajectory. It will reach the highest point, and then it goes back to the ground. Yan. So after some time, ang bola natin nandito na siya banda. So anong case ito? This is case number 1. Hello? Case number 1. So sulat natin lahat ng given. First given, we have theta with respect to the horizon. Theta is equivalent to 60.0 degrees. Ayan o, 60.0 degrees. And then we have an initial velocity of 30.0 meters per second. Sulat lang. 13.0 meters per second. Ano pa yung implied? Di ba implied na yung velocity along the y sa highest point, di ba? Velocity along the y at the highest point is 0 meters per second. Again, ang y lang ang 0 meters per second. Good? Okay. So, ano yung mga required na variables? What is the maximum height? So, maximum height mula dito sa taas hanggang dito sa relative to the ground. So, maximum height. So, asa na ta? Maximum height. So, again, identify natin yung mga variables that are required. Ang kailangan dito, maximum height. So, mula sa taas, relative to the ground. If you notice, this is vertical. Tama no? Vertical siya. Kasi varog, nag-stand up. So, vertical. So, that's D sub Y. Napaka-importante kung ano yung component na yan. This is vertical, so sub Y. That is unknown. So, for letter A, unknown is the vertical component, D sub Y. Next, letter B, how long will it take for the ball to reach the ground? So, we have time from the starting point until the highest point. Sa free fall, that's time A. Di ba? Na-discuss na natin yan. And then from the top going to the ground, that's time B. Follow? But we have time symmetry. Tama? So equal lang man sila. So i-times 2 lang natin na later. So that means letter B, kailangan natin is total time. We just multiply the time A. Ito, papunta sa taas. Do you follow? Multiply lang natin yan kasi level lang man sila. Level ground. Nakuha? That's unknown. And then for letter C, ang kailangan natin is how far does the ball reach from where it is launched. So mula dito sa starting point hanggang dito sa end point, yan yung unknown. If you notice, this is now horizontal. So that is D sub X. Kasi nga horizontal. Or in some books, ang tawag nila dyan, range. Yan. So D sub X or range R. Nakuha? Lah, ano na niyo? Okay? Are we good? Ano man akong camera? Ulo na lang ako nakita. Wait lang ha. Hindi ako komportable. Sana siguro fights na. Okay, so let us calculate the variables. So the very first step when we are going to solve projectile motion is to solve for VIX and VIY. That's the very first step. Okay? So solve natin si VIX and si VIY. VIX is always cosine theta. What is our theta? 60.0 multiplied by 30.0 meters per second. And that gives us what? What is cosine 60? X of 60. 60x. So 1/2, that's 15. 15.0 meters per second. And then VIY is sine theta, always man na. Sine theta, which is 60, multiplied by 30.0 meters per second. So cosine of 60, that's the y, 60, 3 halves, square root of 3 halves. Mga 25.98, and then napan ay sumpay. We need 3 significant figures, so hanggang 9 lang tayo, but kailangan natin magdagdag ng extra digit. So another extra digit, isa or dalawa, okay lang isa. Meters per second. Good? Okay, so that's the very first step. Tandaan yan, first step yan. So for letter A, ang kailangan natin sa letter A is d sub y, or the vertical component. So proceed ka kaagad, tingnan mo kaagad yung equation. Saan ba sa equations ang may d sub y? We cannot use equation number 1 kasi d sub x yan. Dito walang d sub y, so it's either equation number 3 or equation number 4. Ano yung gagamitan natin? Equation number 3 or equation number 4? We cannot use equation number 4. Tama? Hindi pwede sa equation number 4. Bakit? Because wala tayong time. So, ang gagamitan natin is equation number 3. Di ba ganun lang? So, dy 2g dy is equal to vfy squared minus viy squared. Take note, saan dito yung y natin? Vf. Saan ang vf? Highest point tayo ha? Highest point. So, ibig sabihin dito sa highest point. Ano yung vf dito? Ito. Okay, so vf natin y is 0. So, this will become 0. Ako ha? Ayan. So, how are we going to get the value of dy? Just divide by 2g. Just divide by 2g. Ayan. So, our equation for maximum height, pakisulat sa equation na ito, dy is equal to negative viy squared over 2g. This is the equation for what? For maximum height. Anong case? Take note kung anong case yan. Case number 1. Iba yung equation natin for other cases. Maximum height, case number 1. Good? Okay, so calculate na natin. That's negative VIY is 25.98 meters per second squared divided by 2 times negative 9.81 meters per second squared. And that gives us what? This gives us 25.98 squared divided by 2 times 9.81. That's 34.401, etc. meters. 3 significant figures. dy is equal to 34.4 meters. Okay, let's proceed. Letter B. For letter B, ang kailangan natin is the total time. Okay, total time needed for the ball to reach the ground. So alam natin the time is just 2 times TA. Okay? So paano natin kukunin ngayon ang time? How are we going to get time A? Check agad dito sa equations. Saan ba yung may time? Sa equations na yan. Erase, erase, erase. Balik sa equation. Saan ba yung may time? We cannot use equation number 3. Walang time. How about dito? Meron ba tayong dx? Wala. So, hindi pwede. Meron ba tayong g? Yes. Meron ba tayong vfy? Ito, sa taas. Tama? So, check. Meron ba tayong viy? Check. So, that means we can use equation number 2. Sir, pwede naman ang equation number 4. dy, check. viy, check. Okay, pero quadratic yan. So, ibig sabihin, gagamit ka ng quadratic formula. So, as much as possible, iwasan natin ito to solve for time. Ito lang. As much as possible na, pero pag wala tayong choice, ito yung gagamitin natin. So, we are going to use this one. Time A is equal to VF. You already have your equation. Kagaya nung equation natin before. VFY minus VIY over G. Tama? Ang VFY natin is 0. So this will be disregarded. 0 naman yan. So that means time is equal to negative VIY over G. Ayan. Remember, i-multiply pa natin yan ng 2 later. Or pwede na, dagdagan na natin ng 2 dito. Later na lang. Solve na lang natin muna. So negative VIY is 25.98 meters per second divided by negative 9.81 meters per second squared. And this gives us what? 25.98 divided by 9.81. Then multiply by 2. This is 2.6483, etc. seconds. And then total time is just 2 times 2.6483 seconds. Ilan man eh? 5.30. Questions? Ganun lang. Or pwede na lagyan mo na lang yung time dito. Sulat na lang natin yung equation before time. Time is equal to negative, multiply na direksyon ng 2. 2 VIY over G. That's the total time. Again, case 1. Kasi iba yung time for case 2, case 3, and case 4. Case 3 lang pala. Okay? So, proceed tayo sa letter C. For letter C, ang kailangan natin is D sub X. Isang equation na lang man ang D sub X. Ang mayroong D sub X. And that is equation number 1. So, wala tayong ibang pagpipilian. Equation number 1 lang. D sub X is equal to velocity initial along the X times time. Do we have VIX? Yes, meron tayong VIX. Do we have time? Yes, meron tayong time. So, proceed. Initial velocity is 15.0 meters per second. Time is 5.30 seconds. That gives us what? 79.5. Ba? 79? 74. Kalimot ko na. 15 times 5.30. 79 lagi. 0.5 meters. Questions?